It all starts with a subtle but persistent feeling. It's as if something is out of place, even when everything seems normal. There's an uneasiness that arises without logical explanation, a longing for something you can't quite put your finger on. This feeling is the sign, an inner calling that manifests itself when the external rhythm slows down. What many interpret as confusion or discomfort may actually be the first sign of an inner awakening, a kind of silent reminder that there is something to be rescued. It is not about searching outside, but about returning to what has been forgotten within. This process of reconnection does not belong to religions or philosophies. It is an intimate, natural experience, accessible to anyone who is willing to look honestly within themselves. Ancient peoples knew this. One of them, called the Ashamones, preserved this knowledge and passed on practices aimed at rescuing true consciousness. For them, the greatest power was to discover what was already present but dormant. In today's world, where everything seems urgent and noisy, this kind of knowledge has been left behind, but has not been lost. It has remained alive, silent, waiting for someone to listen again. And when silence is welcomed, listening begins to happen. The first concrete action in this process of reconnection is to create an environment that favors contemplation. It does not have to be a sophisticated place, but a space with a clear intention. A spot in your home that represents presence, respect, and care for yourself. It can be a discreet corner of your bedroom, part of your living room, a space on the balcony, or even a symbolic structure assembled with special objects. What matters is the meaning. Each item in this place should have a reason for being there. Nothing should be there by chance. Cleanliness is essential. Remove excess items. Keep the space light. Then add elements that evoke something positive: a candle, a crystal, an image, a flower, a stone. These symbols act as anchors for your attention. Lighting also influences the feel of space. Avoid bright lights. Opt for something soft, such as a candle flame or a warm-toned lamp. Dim lighting invites contemplation and calms the nervous system. When you sit down in this space, start with a simple gesture: breathe. Watch the air enter and leave your nostrils. Don't change anything. Just notice. The mind will naturally try to pull in thoughts. When this happens, return to the starting point, your breathing. Each return is a strengthening of your presence. In the beginning, 5 minutes is enough. What matters is not the time, but the consistency. And as the days go by, this small act will become a point of balance amid the movement of everyday life. With repetition, something subtle begins to change. Silence, once uncomfortable, becomes desirable. Breathing, once automatic, becomes conscious. And with that, new perceptions emerge. Different sensations, unexpected ideas. Everything begins to reorganize itself, effortlessly. This is the effect of attention. When it is directed inward, what is outside begins to respond differently. Decisions become clearer. Emotions are given names. The body relaxes more easily. It is at this point that internal forces begin to reveal themselves, not as spectacular phenomena, but as capacities that have always been there, waiting for an opportunity to manifest themselves. These forces express themselves in various ways: a sense of lucidity, an unexpected tranquility, a desire to abandon old habits, a sudden clarity about something that was previously confusing. All of these are signs that realignment has begun. It is also common for emotional changes to occur. You may feel the urge to distance yourself from certain environments or people. Some issues that previously provoked intense reactions no longer bother you, and other situations that were previously ignored become important. These changes indicate that old patterns are being broken. It's like reorganizing a room after many years. At first, it looks messy, but with patience, everything finds its new place. At the same time, it is natural for questions to arise. Why am I feeling this way? Am I on the right path? What is happening to me? These questions do not require immediate answers. They are part of the process. They are ways for the mind to try to keep up with what the heart has already begun to perceive. Modern science, especially studies on neuroplasticity, confirms that simple practices of mindfulness and silence modify the brain structure. They create new connections. They increase perception. They reduce stress. In other words, what was once transmitted by oral tradition now has empirical proof. But the most important thing is not in the data. It is in the experience. When transformation is felt in the body, in emotions, in the way of seeing life, no explanation is stronger than the feeling itself. The space you have created begins to take on a different energy. It becomes associated with states of peace, presence, and balance. And the more you relate to this place, the more it reflects your intention. It literally becomes a mirror of who you are becoming. This internal movement, however subtle, changes your perception of the world. What once seemed superficial now bothers you. What was once ignored now catches your attention. It's like adjusting the focus of a lens. Everything around you becomes clearer. And then you realize that you no longer need to wait for anything extraordinary. Because something extraordinary is already happening. And it begins when you breathe, observe, and choose to be present. If this content resonated with you, like this video right now, write in the comments, "Silence reconnects me," and send it to someone who might benefit from this message. And don't forget to subscribe. The next step is closer than it seems. Silence has become familiar. Space has been created. The practice has begun. And with it, something inside is different. Small at first, almost imperceptible but undeniable. A feeling that something is reorganizing itself inside. This reorganization does not depend on elaborate rituals. It feeds on simple, frequent gestures. Transformation does not happen with a grand act, but with conscious repetitions. Every day a little bit. That is the secret. And it all starts with the most basic thing, breathing. Sitting for a few minutes and paying attention to the air coming in and out is enough to restore balance. The body is grateful. The mind slows down. And what is inside begins to reveal itself more clearly. Don't try to control it. Don't wait for your mind to go blank. Just observe. With each breath, a reunion. With each exhalation, relief. When thoughts arise, and they will, just come back. No judgment, no effort. This constant return to the present moment is what reprograms you. And when done frequently, it completely changes your relationship with what is happening around you. But this state does not have to be limited to these moments. It can be carried throughout the day. That is the next step, living mindfully. Mindfulness is the practice of being aware while living. Feeling the water as you wash your hands. Really listening during a conversation. Be aware of your own movements when walking. All of this strengthens your inner core. One way to develop this awareness is through body scanning. With your eyes closed, focus your mind on each part of your body. Feet, ankles, knees, thighs, hips, abdomen, chest, hands, shoulders, neck, face. At each point, check for tension. Breathe. Let go. Accept. This simple exercise activates the connection between the physical and the subtle. And it is at this point that the inner forces gain more space to manifest themselves. These forces are present in specific centers of the body. Some call them energy points. There are 7 main ones. Each one has a function. The first, located at the base of the spine, brings stability. The second, in the lower abdomen, stimulates creativity and sensitivity. The third, at stomach level, connects with willpower and personal power. The fourth, in the center of the chest, is the point of affection. The fifth, in the throat, open space for expression. The sixth, between the eyebrows, expands intuitive perception. And the seventh, at the top of the head, opens up to greater wisdom. These centers are not visible to the eye, but their effects are felt in the body and emotions. When they are in harmony, there is fluidity. When they are blocked, discomfort, confused thoughts, and emotional imbalances arise. Visualization is an effective tool for caring for these centers. Imagine that each point on your body emits a light. Start at the first one at the base and move up point by point. At each one, breathe. See that light becoming clearer, more alive, more aligned. This exercise, done with attention, cleanses, unblocks, and reorganizes. And as the practice deepens, new perceptions begin to emerge. Internal sounds, chills, unexplained goosebumps, a sudden clarity, a feeling of intense presence. All of these are natural responses to energy and motion. Another powerful resource is intuitive writing. With a notebook in hand, write down everything that comes to you. No censorship, no organization. Single words, emotions, images, questions. Allow yourself. It's not about making sense. It's about allowing expression. Over time, patterns emerge. Hidden messages reveal themselves. And what was once confusion becomes understanding. Writing becomes a channel, a way for inner wisdom to manifest itself. In addition, there's a simple way to feel your own subtle field, your hands. Rub them together until they warm up, then slowly bring them closer together without touching them. You will feel a slight resistance, as if there was something between them. There is. It is energy. It is your living presence in vibrational form. This perception expands. With practice, it is possible to feel vibrations in environments, in people and objects. This sensitivity is not fantasy. It is part of human nature, forgotten but still accessible. External tools can help in this refinement. They are not mandatory, but they serve as bridges. Among them are crystals, aromas, and sounds. Amethyst calms and clarifies. Clear quartz amplifies intention. Tourmaline protects against heavy vibrations. Use them in your space. Hold them during practice. Let them vibrate beside you. Essential oils are also powerful allies. Lavender to calm, sandalwood to stabilize, frankincense to uplift. A drop on the wrist, an inhalation before bed, a diffusion in the environment. These are small gestures with a profound impact. And sound, that language without borders, has the power to reorganize everything. Sing a mantra, listen to a crystal bowl, chant a long sound with your own voice. Sound touches where words cannot reach. It adjusts frequencies. It dissolves blockages. It cleanses. Another simple but extremely effective resource is visualization. The mind creates images and, with that, alters the emotional state. Imagine yourself surrounded by a blue light. Imagine that this light enters your head and runs through your entire body. See this light dissolving fears, doubts, fatigue. And in the end, visualize yourself light, full, silent. These images, repeated with intention, shape internal realities. And over time, they begin to reflect outside as well. But above all, there is consistency. Nothing works without repetition. What transforms is not knowing. It is applying. 1 minute a day, done with presence, is more powerful than hours of distraction. And over time, this silent habit becomes a lifestyle. There is no more effort, just practice, and that practice changes you. If this content has brought value to you, like the video right now, write in the comments, "My energy is active," and share it with someone you feel is ready for this internal movement. And don't forget to subscribe. There's more knowledge, more practices, more discoveries waiting for you. With a more attentive body, a quieter mind, and reorganized energy, A new type of perception begins to develop. It's subtle, but remarkable. You no longer react as you did before. Your choices have changed. There is a different calmness accompanying you, even when the world around you remains turbulent. But this process does not happen in a linear fashion. At some point, more difficult days will arise. Old emotions will resurface. Strange thoughts will appear. Unresolved situations will gain momentum. This is not a sign that something is wrong. Quite the contrary, it is proof that deep layers are being touched. As consciousness expands, it illuminates parts of yourself that were forgotten, denied, or ignored. And what emerges can be uncomfortable. There is discomfort. There are questions. Sometimes even confusion. But this is natural. What is uncomfortable is not the new, but the resistance to what needs to come out. At this point, it is essential to trust the process. Don't fight what emerges. Just observe, feel, accept. Not everything needs to be understood right away. Some pain does not require an explanation. It requires space. Some memories do not require judgment, just release. This phase requires patience and, above all, respect. Not for others, for yourself. Respect your limits. Respect your pace. Respect your silences. There are phases when the best thing to do is just be. Without searching, without forcing, without trying to solve everything. Many people at this point feel strange, as if they no longer belong in certain places, as if what once made sense now seems purposeless. This feeling is common. It arises when old roles begin to lose their weight. What defined you no longer defines you, and what is to come has not yet taken shape. This intermediate space is not empty. It is fertile. It is where you begin to consciously choose what remains and what needs to go. It is where you identify what feeds your energy and what only consumes it. It is where freedom begins to be built with greater clarity. During this period, energetic self-defense becomes even more important. Visualize yourself surrounded by a soft, steady, protective light. This light does not prevent contact with the world, but filters out what tries to distract you from what really matters. It protects without isolating. Feel your feet on the ground. Find your foundation. Imagine roots growing beneath you, firm and secure. This connection to the earth stabilizes you. Remember that even in times of change, there is solidity within you. And learn to define your space. Not every conversation needs to be heard. Not every invitation needs to be accepted. Not every vibration needs to be absorbed. Being selective about what surrounds you is not selfish. It is wise. Along the way, having someone who understands you can make all the difference. Not someone who dictates rules, but someone who knows how to listen. Someone who respects your silence. Someone who simply reminds you to look inward when everything seems chaotic. The greatest clarity does not come from words. It comes from recognition. When someone sees you for who you truly are, you see yourself more clearly. Sometimes, a simple, sincere look has more effect than 1,000 pieces of advice. But even with support, it is important to remember, no one can walk for you. Each step must be chosen. Each change must be embraced. And that is when many things change profoundly. You begin to realize that happiness is not in a specific place, nor in a specific achievement. It arises the moment you allow yourself to be who you are, without seeking validation all the time. And that freedom is transformative. You stop living according to the expectations of others. You stop trying to fit into molds. You accept that feeling is natural. That change is necessary. And that living truthfully is worth more than pleasing the whole world. The energy that was once used to keep up appearances is now used to strengthen your essence. The strength that was once spent trying to control everything is now channeled into creating, expressing, and feeling more deeply. the body responds. The mind calms down. Sleep improves. Intuition speaks louder. Sensitivity is refined. And even relationships adjust. Some drift away naturally. Others deepen. And new connections emerge, lighter, more aligned. All of this does not happen because you have learned something new. It happens because you have begun to remember. Nothing that is emerging now is new to your essence. It is just the return of something that has always been there, just waiting for the right moment to manifest itself. And that moment is now. If you've made it this far, it's because you allowed this change to happen. You sat in silence. You breathed. You listened. You observed. You committed to what you felt. That is true strength. That is a conscious choice. Now, what comes next requires no more effort. It only requires continuity. Small daily gestures. Constant care with what you think, feel, and share. The same space you created in the beginning is now part of who you are. It carries the vibration you have built. That is where you return when the world tries to pull you out. That is where you recharge. That is where you remember that everything begins with presence. And then a new reality emerges. You no longer live seeking, but sharing. You no longer try to convince, but inspire. Your energy speaks before your words. Your vibration arrives before your name. And that is the real impact, being light without effort, being clarity just by existing with truth, being a bridge without getting lost, being roots and also openness. At this point, there is no turning back, because what has been seen cannot be undone. What has been felt has already been integrated. What has been awakened has already become part of your existence. And that doesn't mean perfection. It means presence. It means accepting the good days and the difficult days with the same dedication. It means trusting that every situation brings something necessary, even if it's not yet possible to understand. Because now you know, you're not here to please. You're here to live with awareness. To remember every day that your energy doesn't depend on circumstances, it depends on your choice. And your choice now is to take care of what is real. If this content spoke to your heart, like the real deal, hit the video now, write in the comments. I choose to live with truth and send this message to someone you feel needs to reconnect with what is most sacred within themselves. And remember to subscribe. What lies ahead continues to build this new way of being in the world. You've already started. Now, just keep the light burning.